the Grunfeld is a very good opening for those of you who are striving to get a double-edged.
In this video we're going to look at the latest developments in the 6 bishop g5 knight off.
I'm gonna start with sort of my first official Stonewall game.
The idea is not to fight against any opponent move, prevent everything, defend and so on. No, it's just to move.
B3, A5. What do you think about this opening? Honestly, what do you think?
You don't have to play knight c3. We can actually put a piece on d2, which is better because then we avoid the potential doubling of our c pawns.
What you have to understand about practical endgames as a whole is that just like in the middle game or the opening, you cannot rely solely on these general considerations.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the endgame with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Silecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Hello everyone, welcome to my Banter Blitz. Let's jump straight in and play some games. As always, I'll start with my typical coffee house and King's Indian repertoires, but shout and chat if you want me to play something else, and I'll give it a go if it's not too boring. Hello, precocious boy. This game. And a Scotch Gambit for the first game. If I can remember my theory. Should be quite a dangerous approach. Alright, just glancing over at the chat while reading. Sorry, Mechaniac, is that how you pronounce your name? I was said that why didn't I announce that my volume part 2 of my King's Indian course came out for quality. And yeah, I probably should have done. I was rather busy playing in the French League and only just got back yesterday. It slipped my mind. Now I'm supposed to go bishop e3 or castle. There's a line with take. I think it's castle. Bishop e5 is a tricky line. Yeah, I apologise in advance if I'm brain dead this evening. I got back yesterday evening from playing the French League, which is 11 rounds. First time in a while that I played such a long event. Maybe even pre-COVID. There's some sharp positions here. I'm winning a couple of pawns. This pawn in d5 can't be defended. But the issue in my position is f2 is a bit vulnerable. It's quite an aggressive line, this bishop c5. So bishop a6 is creating chaos. I should double check what time control we're playing to. That's something that always catches me out. 3-2, okay. I'll probably end up losing on time, but a bit harder than at 3-0. Less Banter Blitz, I seem to end up with no time very easily. So I can't move my rook, because the f2 pawn would be hanging. So I'm going to have to sacrifice it. But in return, he's got a rook and pawn hanging 2. And I've grabbed 1 pawn. Now taking the pawn on d5 with the bishop just ends up in a pin. So let's take with the queen. I want to get rid of this knight. It's a dangerous attacking piece. So I've got a lot of complications here. Too many pieces hanging for a first game of the night. But I've picked up a couple of pawns, and most importantly, this rook is also hanging in the corner, which is a nice bonus. But the knight on e4 disappearing is my main hope. And he would like to play knight takes f2, but then the bishop on c5 will be hanging. So I don't think I'm being mated. And yeah, you can challenge me more than once, but there's probably, I've already seen I've got a few challenges, so I doubt there'll be time for a second game. Last time I think I let one through towards the end, but probably if you send multiple challenges, but then after we have a game, if you cancel your other ones, that'd be fairer to the other people waiting. Then I might end up with no opponents, but I don't think it should happen tonight. Now, I think black's best is to take my rook. There we go. Because now he's giving me an annoying choice. He's got 3 pieces hanging, bishop, rook, and knight. And I can also choose to exchange queens. But exchanging queens isn't going to be very sensible because the rook is going to come down. And taking the knight looks risky because the queen can come down to d1. But then I do have knight c3 developing and hitting the queen at the same time. The safest to me feels like taking the rook. At least it keeps material level. He has 1 check on f2. This shows f2 check, but I'm hoping it's just the 1 check. I can take his bishop. Good evening, Stuart. Oh, that's a good move. That's a very good move. Not a good start. Queen takes f2 is a huge threat. With mate on both g2 and g1. No, I don't think I've got a good way of stopping that. A bishop exchange with bishop e3 is not going to help, so I think I have to block the queen. I don't think it's enough, but certainly this one wasn't ideal. Okay, now I just have to take material and hope that the short time control saves me. Still not clear. Maybe it was better to take on g3 last move. We'll come back to the position briefly at the end because it's quite interesting. Now running to the d file allows a pin. Going back to f1. This allows at least a draw with repetition. Let's go back. Let's go forward. Once more into the breach. Can I go any further? I can go this far, but I don't. If I go to a3, it's queen a4 mate. I'm not sure I should have played on by sacrificing my queen. I forgot I didn't have enough time to save that bishop. I think Precocious Boy is too good that knight. Yeah, I definitely should have made the draw here. Anyone who's followed my exploits knows that accepting when to make a draw is probably my biggest weakness. Even somehow I thought I had a rook for the queen. Yeah, this, where's the resign button? Well done. Precocious Boy. I definitely should have taken the draw there. Going back, I think I made a big mistake taking his rook. So here we have a very complicated position. And yeah, I said I had this choice. I missed this very strong move, Queen h4, that came next. So could I have got away with taking the knight on e4 here? I was scared because of Queen d1, but knight c3 attacks the queen. So maybe it's all under control here. I could also have taken the bishop. I think the move I played was worst because now Queen h4 was a very strong move. Queen takes f2 is a big threat. And here I was very worried by, let's get rid of that arrow, by knight takes g3. So I can't take it because queen takes is check and the pawn is pinned. But maybe I could just play a move, like queen back to f3 or something. What he did, probably here I could have made a draw by going back to f1, or at least here I simply continued. I panicked a bit with sacrificing the queen, and Precocious Boy was a deserved winner. Onwards and upwards. Hello, Mr. Sousa. I think you're in chat as well. Are you still here? Maybe not. Okay, sorry. We'll report this one. We can send a new challenge in. Don't want too much dead air time. Liv Tyler. Oh, I get another white. Gives me a hope. Get a modern. No, 2d5. Oh, this is an interesting move. I was going to say I had a modern played against me by Magnus in the Champions Chess Tour, which I lost, but it was a really interesting game. And then in the French League, someone tried to copy Magnus, less successfully. In general, I feel these Scandinavians where white gets both c4 and d4 should be quite nice for white. Probably I'll end up getting mated in the opening again, but in principle, these pawns provide white with quite a lot of space, make it difficult for black to find counterplay. Normally the knight on c3 is blocking that pawn, back on c2. Okay, let's play some normal moves as well. Actually, it's 3-0-2, so definitely some chance of getting flagged. But that'd be an improvement on the last one. Okay, I'll take the bishop pair, attack that pawn on b7. And now I've got to come up with a plan. Let's develop my rooks and see what happens. At the moment, I'm not really threatening anything down the e-file because my bishops are in the way, but one day they might move. Is that day today? Now let's just play another normal move first before deciding on a plan. Recommendation for Alakan again from Stuart. That went rather well in a previous Banter Blitz, so I'll give it a go again. I might also try the Smyslov version of the Royal Pairs as something that is my attempt at playing King's Indian against 1e4. We'll see how that goes. This position is probably completely fine for black because of the square. I went c5 sort of on autopilot to force the exchange of queens, which should help me, and I'm hoping to get some expansion on the b file with b4, b5. But the downside is, yeah, this outpost on d5, and black is very solid still. Okay, let's just don't. No. I was about to play bishop a5, but the problem with bishop a5 was then I couldn't play b4 without my bishop being trapped. Black remains extremely solid. I'll play knight a5 and attack this pawn on b7. But it's difficult to play around this knight on d5. It's a very strong piece. I think my plan is going to be to play g4, g5, try and get rid of the knight defending on f6, and then take on d5, hoping that black will have to recapture the pawn. Preferably, I prefer to defend my pawn on d4 first here. But I'm not sure if I can. So I don't really want the rook taking. Okay, first objective. At least that knight is gone now. But let's sack a pawn. I'm going to lose some time probably, but I'll have to speed up very soon. I sacked the pawn there with b5 because I was worried the knight would find a new lease of life over on the b5 square. So this is blocked in now. "25 seconds, time to speed up." Got my pawn back. Long term, I've got a very good structure because I can create a pass pawn on the queen side, b4, b5, whereas it's going to take black a long time to create one. Okay, all the way. Okay, so that pawn drops now. Culmination of my strategy. Now I'm going to set up a little. Oh, probably that's a good move. I want to go bishop a5 and then sacrifice. Whew, 5 seconds. Could game lived either. Right, knight was very annoying. Probably was always about balanced. But I'm off the mark. Would have been a depressing evening if I'd lost every game. Hello, échec set maths. Bonsoir. Are you there? Nope. Okay. Sorry. Let's find someone else. You guys just trying to make sure that I never play with black. Hapta. Are you there? I noticed the challenge come in very recently. It's a bit of a shame if you've gone. Nope. Okay. Third time lucky. Shadowmate, are you there? I did go and get rid of all the old challenges before the start of this. There we go. Okay. To keep Stuart happy, I'll play the other kind. I'll try to play the other kind. I suppose d5 is keeping it in other kind territory. Precocious Boy beat Lecco as well, so I'm in good company. Okay. Then he was letting me off with a draw, which I should have been very happy to take. Those kind of complicated positions probably are the way to go in these banter blitzes. It's hard to try and explain your thoughts and play half decently in tactics. What are you supposed to do against knight e2? People always just take on f6. Too many choices for this knight. g4, probably. e4, it's just going to get hit around again. d5, the pawn is dropping on d4. Let's go to g4. Can dream of getting either the bishop to c5 or queen to b6, play d3 and mate on f2. Attack this pawn again. Thanks, Kramnik student, for replying the I'll send a challenge. Yeah, if you're a premium member, please feel free to send in a challenge. Of course, we won't get through all of them, but we'll see how many games we manage. And 3-0 or 3-2 are good time controls to play. 3-0 tends to get rather random at the end as play too slowly. So here we have some tactics. h3 didn't lose a pawn. I was hoping that there's going to be some problems now. I'm attacking the knight, but also queen e4 check. Looks a bit awkward. Oh yeah, that saves it. With knight e3. Also covered the pawn on c2. I'm not super sharp this evening. I'll warm up into it. What to do? Yeah, let's just play some active moves. Force Shadowmate to defend. So I'm threatening nasty things on c2. Either d3 or knight e3 to fend it off. I was expecting knight e3, but my plan is to flash up with the queen somewhere on the e5. Let's go to e5, where hopefully it doesn't get in the way. Again, I'm threatening some cheapos on c2. And my plan is to castle queenside and play e6, develop my bishop, and hope that I've got some threats. Of course, might be argued I brought my queen out too early and there'll be some play against it. I don't know, maybe c3, d4, and pushing me back. If I can get enough pieces out, then I'll start sacking. Is the sack justified yet? Probably not. Does that mean I'm not going to play one? Okay, not yet. After d4, I really want to sack my rook, but that definitely is too much. The knight is also too much, but I can't resist. Just I continue playing actively. Go down in flames. Yeah, Prusak, everyone did leave, but luckily we got a game in the end. And a very interesting one. Am I continuing? Okay. Of course, I want to sacrifice exchange too if I could, but probably pre-move that recapture. So I've got 2 pawns to the piece. My compensation, I'm hoping, lies in the king being stuck in the centre for now. If White gets enough time to play bishop e2 and castle, then I'm just lost. So I have 2 tempi to play with. At the moment that looks like it's not enough. But, can I do any tricks here? My rook isn't attacked because it's pinned. The bishop's pinned. So I've got a little bit of time. Of course, I'm going to lose on time while thinking about the tempi time. Okay, let's just point something at the king side. My idea is to push f5, f4 to kick the knight away. I think I'm going to have to give up more material to manage it. Do I start with f4? Knight g4's not getting me very far. Let's play a weird move. My tactical justification is I want to play bishop d6 and queen e5 and mate without allowing f4 blocking that diagonal. My opponents are just playing too well. So now I must just be lost. I'm going to give up one of these bishops. With the 2-second increment, that's not very promising. Okay, at least I get a mate threat in. G3, f4, bishop g4 is very annoying. Don't think I can really justify tempo there with king b8, but just wanted it not to be check on e6. That's another good move. Taking on b2 was my idea, but then I'm going to get mated on the b file. I was going to say if I could get it to 3 pawns, then I could hope for some cheapos in the ending, but the moment is looking more like it'll be 1 pawn. White is extremely solid on the light squares, so I'll have to just exchange queens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 pawns. Shadow mate wants to mate me. Okay. Well, I just have to take things and hope. Rook takes c7. Oh, that's a good move too. No time. Oh, I could have blocked that with the rook. Very scary. Threatened mate on a6. It could just be taken, I think, unfortunately. There are 2 mate threats. Don't see how to deal with them. Well done, Shadow. Oh, tragedy, Shadow mate. I'm sorry. You definitely deserve to win there. You can simply take my queen and then mate on a5. I think I went rather all in a bit too early there. And around here, I'm just a rook down. Yeah, I apologize, Shadow mate. That's a cruel way to go down. I definitely didn't deserve a win there. Maybe I should try and play it a bit safer. But Alekhine did somehow get another win. Okay, let's attempt to play King's Indian against 1e4. Okay, I can still try and set up King. Okay, I can't play King's Indian style against knight g5. Against d3, I was going to play with h6 and g6. But now Hex feels like he's prepared in this sharp stuff. What line shall I play? Queen f3. Bishop d3 is all the rage, I think was Wesley So's recommendation in his Chessable course. Okay. I saw one of the elite players sacrificing the exchange like this. I think it might have been Ding Liren against I can't remember who was white now. He gave this, so I'm exchanging a pawn down. Then he just played very calmly and ended up having full compensation. The game was a draw, but black should have won. Now do I attack the queen? I suppose so. So I've got better compensation this time than I did in the first. Well, in the last game. And the first one where I rather ambitiously sacrificed my queen. Where to put this bishop now? Let's try all the way back. Going that round. 3-0 this time, and I'm a minute down on time. Okay. But I'm hoping my counterplay this time, compensation, is that white's a long way from castling. So in one move, my king, I think, should be relatively safe. I'll probably end up getting mated on g7, but it looks difficult to add too many more pieces in. And now knight d4 is a threat. Zevich, long question. What is my opinion on the current theoretical state of the dragon? I confess that I haven't looked at it with the most modern engines. Last time I looked, it was still holding up fine. I've touched briefly on why I don't play it often anymore. It's mainly because white has quite a few forcing lines that they can choose, and when I'm playing strong booked up players, I still would like potential to win, and there are some lines where white can force black to find some only moves to make a draw, if white knows his stuff very well. And that didn't really appeal to me playing against lower rated grandmasters and international masters. And lower now, it's a bit easier to prepare. I played the dragon again when I was facing Magnus last year in the Champions Tour. I think it still holds up fine if you don't mind a draw, or at least if you know your opponent is happy to play. Of course, it's kind of quite a high level problem too, when your opponent is able to prepare for you in depth. But I'm sure it'll make more of a surprise reappearance now. People aren't expecting it. Going into my name, yeah, Gawain is was one of the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur's nephew. There's a new film about him and his Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Hence why I'm vede notte generally online. It's a weak pun, English Italian. Verde is green and notte is night, as in night and day. And when I was 13, I thought it was fun to use this pun. I play bishop d5, block the check and attack queen and knight at the same time. And I haven't come up with any better idea in the next 20 plus years. There's a lot of pieces hanging here. Now, I do need to be careful about getting mated on g7. I did predict it was going to happen. My bishop's doing enough. What's the material count? I've got bishop and knight for rook and 2 pawns. But my knight's a monster. I've got a choice of forks. Let's go after this one. Oh, I had mate in 1 with king f1. I thought he was going to go the other way. 7 seconds. Let's close the... Got a few mate threats now. Cage is closed. That's a prettier one, I think. Good game, Hex. This line is very interesting. Definitely appeals to me to start sacrificing things with initiative, but you need to play accurately or can just end up lots of material down as well. So risky way of going. But thanks. Gave us another good battle. Oh, sorry, the time that we had our game. We'll try again later in the evening if we randomly paired up again. But hello, Jap. Informs me this is our 6th game. We're leading 3.5, 1.5. Let's see if my Scotch Gambit. Oh, no, we got Petrov. Yeah, take the pawn. Go for this funny line played in the World Championship matches. All feels very odd. Just knight back. There was some chaos with knight c6 that I think was played. Knight d5, knight d4. Both queens are hanging. This is a more sedate way of playing. So queen's coming off. Black is, of course, very solid. White's got a tiny bit more space. Okay. I wasn't sure if I wanted to play c4 or not, but let's, as the queens haven't been exchanged, let's be more aggressive. Castle queenside and hope for some, drum up some attack somehow. Do you want to take that? Probably doesn't really matter. I'll wait to move. Okay, now I'll take it. So I need to activate my bishop. My queen is stuck in the way. Let's do it in an unorthodox way. Finchecking isn't so unorthodox, but I want it on h3. Tap that queen. Yeah, the session of the Mechaniac is obviously fully sound, still played by the top players in the world on a regular basis. But there are a lot of lines where if White knows what he's doing, he can give an unpleasant choice between some very equal or forced draw line or some advantage for White. Which is why people have to keep moving around so much when they're playing weaker players and just try and avoid this preparation. I'm sorry, I don't really know what the theoretical status of the Kalashnikov is. Not an opening that really appears in my games. I wasn't sure about exchanging queens, but the thing was I wanted to prevent bishop f4. My advantage here is the bishop pair, so if Black gets to exchange a pair of bishops, Jap will be completely fine. The knight is coming round, so we'll stop the knight jumping into c4. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing over on the king side. I've got a choice: either play g6 as a temporary pawn sacrifice to open up lines for my rook and bishops, and generally want open lines for the bishops, or just play bishop f5 and hit the pawn, provoke an opening that way. With knight d7, let's go this way. I'll keep the f6 square controlled. I was about to take, but I think it's stronger to delay. My threat is to take and come down. But if Jack plays rook h8, then it looks very odd with those pawns still on the board. I found another good rerouting though. The knight's going to go to e6. Time to open up a second front. Black still remains extremely solid, which is what happens in these Petrovs. I should check out Danny King's Chessable course. Problem is there are so many good Chessable courses at the moment. Limited amount of time. So many that are on my wish list to go through. Okay, let's start attacking things. Now I hoped that this one had a tactical flaw. So the pawn couldn't be recaptured because bishop e5 won the exchange. So it's a pawn sacrifice. So Jap has succeeded in his goal to get rid of my bishop pair. At least I've won a pawn in the process. He's not taken yet. Or it doesn't change too much. Yeah, Zombie, I think all of the serious GMs are going through the Chessable courses too. There's just too much material provided there that you can't afford to not at least look to see what is being suggested, even if you've got similar analysis of your own. I'm speaking hypothetically there. Most of my analysis is on the King's Indian, which is, of course, already published there. But yeah, it's a treasure trove of ideas. So I think any serious GM will be working their way through wherever they can find interesting ideas. So Chessable is a very natural place to go. Okay. I realised I was going to lose on time considering which bishop I wanted to keep on the board. Of this one. So now there's no opposite coloured bishop endgames that I need to worry about. This bishop on e3 at the moment is pretty useless. But I'm hoping that eventually I'll find something for it to do. Let's tickle the bishop. So the big question in this endgame for me is, am I winning if all the rooks come off the board? I've got my extra pawn, of course, but it's going to be difficult to get anywhere from the king's side. And your chap thinks that I'm not. He's probably right. Because black's going to get counterplayed by running the king over to f5 as well. So for now, my rook isn't doing a lot, but just keep it on the board. Hope that I can start advancing my pawns and exchange rooks at the right moment. Let's watch out for this rook coming to c4. So let's annoy back in. Actually, this might be very annoying. Because king c6 is a natural way to defend, but b5 check deflects the king. And so you have to either give up this pawn on d5 or put your rook on a very stupid square. Go for the latter. In fact, I can still do it on the tactical way or the... Okay, let's just win a pawn. Okay. Not enough time. Rook takes b4. Can I go the ridiculous looking king a3? I don't don't think there's a good discovered rook move, and I'll take on d6 next. Okay. So I'm now 3 pawns up, which should be enough. Especially as my g pawn could just start motoring. It looks slightly scary, but there aren't. I don't think there are enough open lines for that. For the rook and bishop by themselves. There's also no way for this bishop to attack the pawn on g7. So my plan is just to bring my king round and then push the a pawn. Good game, chap. I think that was at least a slightly high level by me. I didn't blunder anything too obvious, at least. Hello, Avenge. Another player I've played a few times. I think I'm 2-1 down. But if I'm lucky, he's not here, so I can play against someone a bit easier. So Revenge, let's try someone else. Kata, hello. I'm not getting very lucky here with opponents. Kata's not here either. Ooh, now this is someone that we've also had a few encounters. Hello, why must I lose? What should I play? Let's try a pure Scotch. I had a couple Scotches in the French League, so I might be able to remember some theory here. This is the main line. Get some completely irrational positions, and now we'll play Seto Raman's recommendation in his Chessable course, h4. So I played against Yesipenko. d6. That one's a bit unusual, but black has lots of moves. I think this is what I played myself on the black side against Daniel Fernandez, English GM. I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. Let's play the usual Scotch move. Attack this knight. There's normally a choice. The most natural is just to drop the knight back to b6, but you can also pin it with bishop a6. I'll defend my pawn. Generally end up playing ED and exchanging queens, but I'm trying to keep the queens on the board if I can. Okay, that's good. Just continue to develop. And attacking my pawn again. Am I going to defend it? Am I going to take on d5? Or am I going to sack it? I think you guys probably know the answer. If there's any kind of sacrifice in the position, then I'm liable to play it. The Scotch is kind of a strange opening that it's quite risky for white because you spend a lot of time pushing pawns with e4, e5, and h4, c4, all these pawn moves, queen e2. So you don't get round to normal development. Let's take on d2 and then take on c4 to keep structure. Fine, okay. Can't see a good way to sacrifice anymore. But yeah, if white manages to actually survive the opening, then generally has a structural advantage with these bad pawns on c7 and c6. That's a doubled. And often there's a bad bishop on a6 and a bad knight on b6 as well. So a lot of advantages, but it's also risky just because you're delaying your development for so long. But it means both sides really need to know what they're doing, or you can have early embarrassments on both white and black sides. Very sharp positions. And why Kasparov scored so heavily with it when he brought it back to the top. And now we've got a generally normal position. Let's go after one of the bishops. Pawn or bishop? What's my I won't take with the pawn? Probably the bishop is better. Where to go? Let's just go back to more of a sort of normal position than expected in my games. I'll put the rooks in the centre. I might delay rook d1 because bishop g4 could be awkward. Of course, I'm going to keep a lookout for bishop takes h6s. So you'll see my plan is sort of angling for that. Maybe I shouldn't have allowed this bishop exchange though. Just continue with my plan. That's a good move. d5 square. It's going to be useful now. And opening the diagonal doesn't matter when I no longer have that bishop. Okay, put the queen in the centre. Unfortunately, I'm looking forward to an ending here. My king will actually be good in the centre. And I'm hoping that this pawn on c5 and d4, at the moment they're a strength, but I'm hoping in an ending there might be a weakness. I also kind of... I want my king on e4 to stop this knight jump around into c3. Tactics getting in the way though. How scared am I of some pin down the e file? Scared. Is there anything I can do about it? I can randomize with b4. And things start getting exchanged. It's either equalish or I'm in trouble. Not normally a good sign. You've got some line of one knight c3 there. Cagnac, sorry, I missed it earlier. There are some tricky lines there. I'm sure Lawrence Trent's course is full of those kind of ideas. Personally, I felt that one knight c3 is liable to force you to play more kind of position rather than less. With knight c3, knight f6, and knight c3, d5, both feeling like a bit of a problem. So now we've got a technical endgame. Rook and 4 each. But it's still an interesting one because it's imbalanced. In general, having the outside pass pawn is useful, but the e-pawn provides my king with some cover. And it's not so easy for black to get anywhere further over here. I don't think king h7 was very good, because the king isn't very helpful now at stopping my pawn just advancing. If the king was on a better square, this would be still very drawish. But as it is, I think the king is dominated. King e6 will come next. That's good. Yeah, Trent's course. I'm sure has some good ideas with 1 knight c3. But tell me, how are you supposed to play with knight c3, d5? Do you just play 2d4 and play a Verisov? Maybe you're part of the Verisov thing these days. Well, knight c3, knight f6. I wasn't sure what benefit you had either. As a King's Indian player, I'd not be very scared. I suppose you go 2e4, and then you might have move ordered to someone if they don't play e4, e5. So the technical games have gone a bit better than the tactical messes. Good game. Let's see if we find... Okay, none of the challenges are that old as I just flick through them. So the chance that the opponent has gone should be relatively low, but certainly not as unlucky as we've had. Hello, August Nimzo. Let's try another e4, e5 and see. I want to illustrate King's Indian-esque plans. Okay, I get another Scotch on the other side of the board. Scotch Gambit. I played this line against Wesley in the my first Champions Tour event for what I think was my only win. We can go to a5 or h5. I think it can also retreat. Can't remember where to though. Is it d7 or d8? d7 looks a bit strange. I think there's a point to it. I know a5 and h5 are the main lines, and they often transpose to each other. This line looks very odd, by the way. White sacrificed a piece, but it's all about this knight c3 trick that taking was impossible because the queen was undefended on d5. And you can't take with the knight because it's pinned. Now, I think castle will be a blunder because of knight takes c6 when I won't have anything defending my bishop at the end. So I guess I should take. Now, where does my queen end up? Not really sure why. I think maybe queen d7 was a half-remembered idea by me. This doesn't look very convincing. Thank you, I Might I Lose. Always a good game. You'll get me soon, I'm sure. The score is very flattering for me. This position now reminds me of Berlin line, the one that they often make a draw in, that the white can play on. You often get these bishops and the queen on c6. So my advantage is the bishop pair, so it'd be nice not to take on d5. Can I play bishop d8, or is that... I feel I'm sort of playing with fire, as white is so active. Oh well, let's continue. It's not like I've not played with fire earlier in the evening, so it'd be rather unfair to start playing sensible moves now. So I'm hoping I'll get away with castle and kingside. but there are a potential 4 attackers. But my king is still quite safe. Long term, it's a very good position for me, but I confess I'm a bit worried in the short term. Because it's a bit difficult to see how I'm getting this rook into the game on a8. So whether I have to take on d5 at some point. I'm also worried about some back rank mate after everything's taken on d8. So I could create some luft with h6, but then I'm worried about a sacrifice. I just have to accept that I have to play a bit boringly by taking this knight. Where to go with the queen? Let's not be completely boring. We'll attack the pawn on a2. And thanks a lot. Trying to play some interesting games, even if, as we've seen this evening, my score seems to be generally much better when I keep it solid. It's also a case, unsurprisingly, in my classical games, but still, I can't resist the temptation to start sacking stuff. I guess that pawn is too strong. I have to get rid of it. Now the threat is to take my bishop, so we'll move it. I'm still a bit worried about my king. It doesn't have a lot of support. Hoping it's not that easy for white to get any more pieces pointing at my king. Apologies for the background noise. Dog is falling asleep. It's a very warm evening. Now I want to threaten rook e2 and attack the pawn on f2 and the queen. The problem is that I get mated, so I need some luft. But h6 is always really scary to allow bishop takes h6. But maybe I can allow it and then play rook e2. It's very complicated, but I think that is probably working for me. And so my next move is probably h6. Incidentally, there is a pawn hanging on a2, which I can take, but I presumed that August himself would be defending that. I wonder if August is listening to me. So h6 is not, well, my whole plan isn't possible anymore because the rook is blocking, his rook on d3 is blocking my plan of rook e2. So I'll have to take the pawn. I keep feeling I'm going to fall for this trick of rook d8 just being taken twice. So I need to play h6. So my queen comes to the rescue first, then I'm ready to play h6, and then finally complete my development with rook d8. But now I think I can just play rook d8. There aren't enough pieces pointed. Do I have some? So the move I should be playing is exchanging rooks and playing queen e1 check and winning a second pawn. I got distracted by bishop takes f2, king takes, quick lose on time. What's going on? Randomness again with no time. There might have been a point there where h6 could have been taken. I think there was also a point where f2 could have been taken. Need my pieces over on the other side of the board. Now I had much better endings on this available to me. ran out of time to think. I'm hoping taking on b4. That was a random looking move. Okay, let's just get rid of these two. Let's switch to playing a professional move. I think I should be winning this position. Maybe not when I have that one. Good move for August is playing this well. Difficult to play against this pawn on b2. It's going to take quite a while to get a dangerous fast pawn. My plan is just to defend this pawn on b2, to queen it. Get round. Here comes the counterplay. Can I be? I'm not really sure why I'm being tricky. This was my idea. I'm hoping it gained a tempo as well as being tricky. So the rook cuts White's rook. And now he can't get his rook for the pawn. Somewhat random game. If I had exchanged and taken f2, it would have been a bit more normal. Thanks for the game. Okay, let's see who we get now. Yeah, if we have played a game already this evening, it would be a great help to me if you could cancel the other challenges. Make it fairer for other people to get a game. Hello, One Year Land. E6 is a bit annoying for Grand Prix players because it's harder to get the brute force f4, f5 through. But this was my recommendation in the coffee house repertoire. When was I playing d4? Not here. Now I've got sort of tricky hybrids between open Sicilians and closed ones. With d4, I'm opening up. Started off as 2 knight c3, but it's now more of a Rossolimo. Again, I can't remember my analysis, unfortunately. But this feels similar, at least. Yeah, am I supposed to play queen g3? Remember it being an idea in some positions. I want to play knight d5, but I don't think it's achieving anything here. Good game, August. It got very random. I'm sure that you're doing well in the time scramble. Yes, dangerous ride. The bishop e5 lines are very topical. Also, another advantage to e6. Bishop e5 there isn't very sensible. So I think the setup I want is to advance with g4. I'm just figuring out how I should go about it. Whether I want to play a3 or a4 on the queen side. Let's play a4. This loses quite a lot of time, but I'm hoping the squares I have, particularly c4, is a justification. The pawn on a6 is quite weak as well. Attacking my pawn. Okay, just defend it. Yeah, it'd be nice to hop the knight in. That's why knight a5, I think. So, another. Okay, we'll take that. It's becoming tactical. So if I take on a6, you can take on c2. So, do I start with bishop b6? So the knight would prefer to drop back to c6, but it's like, yeah, there was this one. I thought he had to go either knight b7 or bishop d8, but this was a straightforward move that I overlooked. Okay, with my knight hanging, probably going to have to take this. Missing knight c4 was a bit careless. Positions should be fairly equal now. I'm playing ambitiously, sacrificing this pawn on c2 to try and take some initiative. I have a cheaper rook d8 check. Unfortunately, it was seen. Okay, probably I need to move this pawn. That could increase the pressure. So I'm pawn down, but I think the position should be fairly equal. I'm hoping these pawns on b4 and a6 are still weak. Unfortunately, my pawn on b3 might also be a bit vulnerable. What's this? 3-0. Okay, I need to speed up. I think e5 probably should be played. There we go. So this is easier to attack this pawn on b3 before I get round to attacking the one on b4. Do a swap. This pawn e5 is getting in the way of that bishop. Okay, so I can win a pawn here, but I think the race is more relevant between my a pawn and his b. After rook takes rook, I wanted ab, but maybe then just b2 and he was winning first. And that might have been a problem. But now I have a trick, so push it all the way. Rook b8 must be good, but let's just get rid of this pawn. And then exchange the rooks. Force rook to be given. So I'm definitely winning now, but is 18 seconds going to be enough time? Nice of Wanya than not to challenge me on it. An interesting game, despite the fact I blundered something quite big with knight c4. I think this is a nice, relatively less theoretical path for white to put some pressure on black. Okay. We've done better with the last few challenges, at least the person has been around. Let's see who I get now. Hello, Edmund Carson. We'll go with 293 again. Okay, same line. Where are you going to deviate? With 97, last game was queen c7. Okay. I think this is the other move order trick. But the game is very, very similar. g6. Now this makes the game quite different stylistically. I'll try and take advantage of these weak dark squares. f6 and d6. Okay. That's my bishop. I'll think drop in here. Okay, what I would like to do is sacrifice a knight on b5 to try and get mate on d6 or c7. Okay, that's a sensible move, preventing that plan. But you have to be careful, Ednos, if you just... my games are generally more sensible if I'm forced to play strategically. You want to force me into some unsound, or at least provoke me into some unsound sacrifices. Queen g5 is more like it. Force me to go f4. I don't think I'm going to play f5 to open up the rook on g7 here. The plan instead is probably going to go e5 and still try and play with these dark squares I was given. Okay. Let's continue my strategic plan. But there is going to be some counterplay with g5. Dangerous ride. Is that you're going to jump with 94? Yeah. 94 with 2 knights c3, knight 6, bishop b5. 94 is the main move and the theoretical test. In the Rossolimo, it can be played, but it's considered a bit risky because you're losing quite a lot of time. White's going to play after the knight exchange, play c3 and try and open up the center. And he's got a big lead in development. Okay, congratulations, you've successfully made me complicate the issue. I'm going to lose a pawn with gf, and the pawn on e5 is hanging too. So I'm going to be 2 pawns down. Probably. I'm not really sure about where my counterplay is, other than that I've got a couple checks. Oh, this is an interesting way of going. I was expecting that pawn to be taken. But what to do now? I want to go f5, but unfortunately my knight would be hanging. Do I exchange knight with knight f6? Okay. Can't resist the d6 square. Maybe I've got an interesting idea here though. After the king moves, I think I want to play knight f5. Forking queen and rook. Yeah, let's see. So I think it has to be taken. And then I'll take the knight on d5. The black structure is quite ugly. This king is still hopefully a bit vulnerable too, stuck in the center. Yes, the Imperator. How about Gelfand's e6 and knight g7 versus Rossolimo? Yeah, of course, that's very good. Gelfand works extremely hard on his chess, coupled with his fantastic understanding. But, I played a game against him in the Spanish league last year and didn't get anywhere. I had some idea that he neutralized, and afterwards he said it was his World Championship prep. Then I had another idea, which I didn't get the chance to play because he played 2d6 against me in the England against the rest of the world match. Do I take on d7 or go e6? E6 is too tempting. Oh, I forgot again that the game is no increment. Oh, b6 was an unfortunate mouse slip. 5 seconds. Whew, 3.8 seconds. Cut that very close. Good game. Enjoyed the game at least. I definitely deserved to lose one on time after that travesty earlier, where I won with a completely lost position where I was completely outplayed and got very lucky with one on time. Resident Evil, hello. Yeah, sorry. So I had a secondary plan with e6 knight g7 Rossolimo. Sorry, you're not here. Against Gelfand, but I wasn't able to play it. I showed the idea to Luke McShane, who was in my team for it, and he gave it a go. But again, Boris showed extremely deep preparation to make the draw into some endgame. But yeah, I think theoretically it's completely fine. Hello, Cispal. Oh, I thought we might get the first King's Indian of the evening, but instead we have Verisov and Yabava. I'll follow my course. Won't let that pawn get any further. At the closing ceremony at the French League, a player came up to me, his teammate came up to me and said that his teammate had won following my course, and it was in this line. I proudly showed the game some winning position that was still in my notes. If only I got those in my own games, but I was very pleased for him that he managed it and gets a 2300 opponent. Now how does this one go? It was the line where it was a Chessable clash. White was playing the M. Quang Lee's recommendation in his London system. I had the advantage of my course being published later, or at least I updated it with an interesting idea. I was stalling because I can't remember my notes, whether I'm supposed to take on d4 first or play knight c6. I remember there's two similar positions. So I was going for the critical test. My point of exchanging the pawn on e3 first was that if he didn't play knight c7, I was hoping that I could exploit the fact the bishop was undefended after cd-ed. Maybe someone in chat can tell me if I have remembered my course or not. So I'm losing at least the exchange, maybe a rook. But in return, I've won a pawn, and white's king is very weak. I've got some nice outposts as well on g4 and e4. And I'm hoping it's only the exchange. That's why I played e5, sacking another pawn. So if he takes my rook, then definitely I'm not going to be any material down. I'll take the bishop and temporarily be the exchange down, but the knight won't escape from the corner. h3, bishop e3. The Karpov line, Imperator against King's Indian is a good one. So I think one of the modern critical tries. And what I played was white myself a few times. And I'm quite pleased with what I came up with, but the lines are very interesting. And black has to play accurately. Talking of playing accurately, which way? I've got a big question to solve here. I can either go knight e4 and take on b2, or I'm going to win some material. Or, of course, I don't even need to finish the question. Or I can continue attacking without winning any material. So I'm going to attack. So then at least he could have got his king to safety, relative safety on the king side. So now I want to check on g3. Force the king to stay in the center. So I am a whole rook down, but this knight on a8 I don't think will survive. So that is only the exchange. And in return I've got this monster bishop on g7, some big squares, and white's king is weak. So knight f2 is possible if white wants to reserve the right to castle. But it would still be quite difficult to see if the king was really going to survive over on the king side. So he runs. Okay, I think I probably start playing some checks. Now I have a draw with knight d2 check and back and check. Unfortunately, I can't do the Philidor mating plan with queen c1 there. So I'm looking at playing knight c3 check or bishop takes b2. Bishop takes, king takes. Unfortunately, I don't have queen b6 check because the knight on a8 is still on the board. But I can stop him being able to take with the on b2 with this king by playing these checks first. Now I'm going to take the pawn on b2. I think with my bishop, just checking, knight takes. Don't think it's anywhere. Now the bishop can't be taken because knight a3 is mate. This was my idea. Before it would have been knight c3 mate, but that doesn't change so much. c3 would be nice because it forks king and queen as well. So the question is what my next threat is if the bishop's not taken. Maybe I just come back with the bishop. Or do I take the rook? So it's getting ready to take my bishop next. It's always such a shame to give up this bishop. But I'm hoping my queen can replace the bishop. So if he's attacking on the long diagonal. So queen a3 is my threat, so I guess queen c1 will probably be played. Now I need one more piece in the attack. So time for the rook to join. Maybe the bishop. I've not seen the knockout blow yet. Oh, that knight survived. Okay, move my knight out of the way somewhere. Not sure which square. I'm going to take on a4. I actually gone to a different square. Not sure what I'm doing after knight b2. If I'd gone somewhere else, I could have taken the knight next. Oh, okay. This way. All my pieces in the attack now. d4 is one idea. Am I threatening to take on a3? Take on c2? Can't quite see the mate. He wants to sack. So he was ready to take on e6. This value defended very well. Yeah. I think I've finally got there. Oof, good game. Thanks for the King's Indian themes to emerge. Probably only time for one more game. Let's see. Zevich, are you there? Okay. Thank you. Cheers, Stuart, and thank you, the Mechaniac. Let's finish with another other kind, so we get a proper one. And cheers, Mick. So I was apparently supposed to start with knight g4. That is what I couldn't remember during the game. Four pawns. Okay, this is what I tried against 4 pawns. I did reveal that I had no idea how black was supposed to play against 4 pawns attack. So I play as white myself. Okay, I'll attack that knight. So I should have played with knight g4 instead of capturing. It still felt very fun, that game, though. Now I need to be a bit careful not just to get mated. But probably playing g5, g4 was already accepting that I might just get mated. What I'm hoping for is the fact that the knight can't defend by knight f3, the pawn on d4 so easily. Maybe I can get some counterplay against it. I'm also threatening h6 to trap that knight. Or a natural move sort of defend it. That time might be to play bishop b4. Get rid of that knight, then play h6, win the knight on g5. Can I take on d4 now? I can't see why not. Probably means I can't. But this is generally the weak point in white's position. this pawn on d4 in the 4 pawns attack. Everything is positive for white, apart from that. Some accuracy is required. If that pawn falls, then often white's position is in tatters as well, because e5 pawn and c4 pawns are weak as well. Cheers to Spout. Thanks, that was a interesting game. You defended very well. But practically it felt that my conversation should be overwhelming. Now what I want is to play h5, h4 and knight g3. But maybe that's a bit greedy. Problem is a knight on e4 is going to cover that. I certainly have to distract him first. There's some position where knight e4 is not so natural. Attack this pawn on e5. I was expecting rook e1 here to defend the pawn. When I've got one of those playing sensibly or getting carried away, I can go h6, kick the knight to e4 and then take the pawn on e5 when I'm just 2 pawns up. But my plan is to go h5, h4. So I can't resist it. I've seen one idea and I'm keen to get it. So I need to keep the bishop on this diagonal to achieve it. Clearly this is not the, don't try this in a tournament game, not a very professional way to do it. Well, it could just be a couple of pawns up and instead move it back to the level material. But maybe the plan will come. So knight b5 to try and get rid of my bishop. Okay. I should have played knight g3 first. That was annoying. Because now I can sacrifice the exchange. I've got knight g3 and then rook g8. Would have been the... I'll take it on g3 check and then rook g8, sorry. Okay, finally get my knight g3 in. Rook takes f5 was still lost, I guess, but I actually managed it without sacking anything. Although after h3, of course, I can just go g takes and g2. I wanted to get some position where the rook sack worked on h3. Thank you, Stuart, for the Alekhine recommendation again. I think it scored very heavily in these Banter Blitzes. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. Apologies to people who didn't get a game this time. If you write your username in chat, then I'll try and give you a game first, as long as I remember it next time. I'll be back again on Monday, I believe. So I look forward to seeing you all again then. Thanks for your company, and have a good evening. Cheers. Good night.
The Grunfeld is a very good opening for those of you who are striving to get a double edge.
In this video we're going to look at the latest developments in the 6 bishop g5 knight off.
I'm gonna start with sort of my first official Stonewall game.
The idea is not to fight against any opponent move, prevent everything, defend and so on. No, it's just to move.
time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the endgame with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Silecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Welcome to the new Chess24 playing experience. Play in light mode or dark mode. Choose from a range of time controls or create a custom game and get paired with players from around the world fast. Enjoy a polished playing experience while making moves on a fresh, responsive board to claim your victories. Train and improve with over 80,000 puzzles. And that's not all. Download now and discover what more you can enjoy in our brand new app.